Welcome to the Pirls Stock Market Commentary video, your weekly window on stock market technical conditions, featuring the proprietary bull-bear point and figure market breadth summary chart for September 24th, 2017. Market breadth. With this past week's market advance, our bull-bear point and figure ratio at 1.21 fell slightly from 1.28 last week, maintaining its bullish territory. The total count of securities in bullish or bearish patterns increased to 2,964. The count of bearish stocks increased 6%, while the count of stocks in bullish patterns increased fractionally. The Pirls P&F Market Breadth Summary Chart shows us a market now 4 weeks in bullish territory. Paid subscribers have access to the OpenOffice Calc data from which the chart is generated. You may become a paid subscriber by visiting s2pmarketsignal.com, clicking Membership, clicking Register, and following the prompts. To receive the weekly Pirls Stock Market Commentary email free of charge, simply enter your email address and name in the spaces provided and click Subscribe. The well-known market breadth indicator, the Nasdaq McClellan Summation Index, rose 174 points for the 14th advance in 22 weeks. At a positive 320.63 points, it has risen above the July 2017 high and continues below the 5 remaining tops above plus 100, as well as above all 5 bottoms below minus 100 in the last 3 years. Volume analysis. In this week's volume analysis, the Nasdaq Composite Index ended in neither accumulation nor distribution mode, with average daily volume lower than the prior week. In the last 2 weeks, the Nasdaq had 3 accumulation days and 1 distribution day. Accumulation days are counted when the index closes up on higher volume than the prior market day, while distribution days occur when the index closes down on volume higher than the prior market day. Last week, the Nasdaq ended in accumulation mode on higher average daily volume. Momentum. The CCI 20 daily, in a Woody's uptrend, is now at a positive 28.36, down from a positive 85.90 last week. The CCI 20 daily is now within the plus or minus 50 range for a zero-line reject long entry signal should the CCI rise next week. In Woody's CCI trading system, 6 consecutive bars above or below zero are required for a change of trend. The weekly CCI 20 of the Nasdaq Composite Index began a Woody's uptrend 73 weeks ago, while the daily CCI 20 began a Woody's uptrend 2 weeks ago. The CCI 20 weekly has fallen to a positive 127.77 from a positive 148.67 last week after forming a zero-line reject long entry signal for Tuesday 9/5 open. Our rule is to stay in the trade until the CCI 20 drops below plus 100. We will continue to follow the result of this trade simulation in next week's commentary. Industry rotation the last 2 weeks. All of the top 5 industries are positive, and all of the bottom 5 are negative. Summary: oil services, oil, KBW Bank, and brokers on top. Gold and silver, REITs, and some tech on the bottom. Bullish, KBW Bank and brokers have entered the top 5. Gold and silver has entered the bottom 5. Networkers have left the bottom 5. Bearish, Comp Tech continues in the bottom 5. Computer hardware has entered the bottom 5. Focus this week from www.zerohedge.com. An insider's view of the Bitcoinization of Venezuela. We recommend you view the short video at the zerohedge.com link. Some key points are the following. With Venezuela almost defaulting on their government debt this week, Daniel Osorio of Andean Capital Advisors has had a front row seat in the collapse of the socialist utopia, spending at least a week every month in the almost failed state. In a brief but fascinating interview on CNBC, Osorio discussed the fact that as Washington unleashes ever tougher sanctions on Maduro, China and Russia are all that's left for the country with the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Venezuela was one of the richest per capita nations in the world, but now hyperinflation is a very difficult thing to understand until you have to buy lunch. The country has not yet dollarized, but there's not enough dollars in Venezuela for that to have happened. Venezuela is becoming a cashless society. We are starting to see in Venezuela the first Bitcoinization of a sovereign state. As oil prices continued their descent and Maduro's mismanagement of the country's economy intensified, Venezuelans chose a new way to protect themselves financially. Between 2014 and 2016, the number of users on just one Venezuelan Bitcoin exchange skyrocketed from just several hundred to over 85,000 users. Cheap, subsidized electricity and a failing currency pushed a number of young entrepreneurs to build their own mining operations. Noel Alvarez, former president of the Venezuelan Federation of Chambers of Commerce, stated that, quote, a maximum of 1% of the population has access to it, but it is very useful in our situation, end quote. Bitcoin's popularity in Venezuela continued to grow. It became the country's leading parallel currency. Some vendors even began accepting Bitcoin exclusively. The Venezuelan government began to crack down on the Bitcoin community, with police extorting citizens for misusing electricity or undermining the country's economy. On July 31st, in a highly controversial election, Venezuela voted for a new constituent assembly, giving President Nicolas Maduro even greater control in the country on the brink of civil war. The new pro-Maduro constituency will now have the power to rewrite the country's constitution. Critics of the election have suggested that the vote was manipulated. National Assembly President Julio Borges tweeted the vote was, quote, the biggest electoral fraud in our history, end quote. Following the election, Maduro set his sights on opposition parties. At midnight on August 1st, two opposition leaders, Leopoldo Lopez and Antonio Ledesma, were pulled from their homes by teams of heavily armed guards. U.S. President Donald Trump announced in a statement, quote, the United States holds Maduro, who publicly announced just hours earlier that he would move against his political opposition, personally responsible for the health and safety of Mr. Lopez, Mr. Ledesma, and any others seized, end quotes. With the collapse of the economy, Venezuelans are running out of options. Bitcoin could come as a saving grace to many people. It has kept food on the tables of families, helped Venezuelans escape the distraught nation, and acted as a voice of rebellion against the oppressive government. But how Maduro's regime will proceed remains to be seen. Thank you for watching this week's Sand to Pearls Stock Market Commentary video featuring the proprietary Bull-Bear Point and Figure Market Breadth Summary Chart compiled by Donald Pearl, www.s2pmarketsignal.com. Hoping that you are enjoying a peaceful and pleasant weekend, that you are looking forward to a prosperous and productive week coming up, and wishing you true success.